Hey everybody, Dirili here. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Code Realize, Guardian of Rebirth. We are on the second video of Saint Germain's story. The first video we spent going through the common route and choosing the correct choices to get Saint Germain to be our main storyline. So now we have reached the point where we are on Saint Germain's storyline, and everything will be his exclusive material from here on out. So you can just sit back, relax, and let me read you a story. You're out so late. Is something wrong? What? I hear a voice, not from the mansion behind me, but ahead of me, from the path leading into town. I don't approve of being out so late. Twilight is still searching for you. What? Finis is gone, so why would Twilight bother? I've just returned from a community gathering of nobles and learned something regarding Twilight's recent actions. It seems that even with Finis gone, they are still persistently targeting you for reasons unknown. You'll continue to be in danger, just as you were before. No. All the more reason for me to leave all you in the mansion, then. Leave? Where are you planning to go? I hesitate for a moment, but then I reconsider. Surely Saint Germain would understand. I can't continue causing trouble for the rest of you. That's why I can't stay with all of you anymore. I see. You're right. You shouldn't get them involved in further danger. Your decision to leave this place behind is correct. Yes, thank you for everything, Count. I wish you well. Oh? Why the parting words? What? Because you said that I shouldn't involve you in any more danger. I said that you shouldn't involve them in any further danger. I wasn't including myself in that statement. What? It's best if we act quickly. Let's leave without telling them. They'll surely try to stop us if they find out. But you need to tell the rest of the group about Twilight, and I can't possibly drag you along with me. I'll inform everyone about Twilight at a later time. This is my own decision. I'm going to go with you because I want to. You are special to me. He starts walking slowly down the path, as if to guide me, and I follow behind. He was unexpectedly open about his feelings. I stare at Saint Germain's back as he walks ahead in the moonlight. I think about the events in the laboratory. Saint Germain killed Finis, his cold gaze. Saint Germain called himself an agent of destiny and guide of history. What exactly is an apostle of idea? Saint Germain, isn't there anything you need to take with you before we leave this place? Saint Germain smiles his usual smile. It won't be a problem. The hideaway we're headed to now has all the supplies we'll need. Besides, I don't intend to stay in that place for a very long time in any case. Chapter 9. Twilight. We walk through the forest, listening to the buzzes and chirps of insects. The blue-white light of the moon shines down on our path, and the trees cast shadows that fall over us as we walk. There's nothing out of the ordinary about this, but for some reason, this night has an air of mystery about it. I feel like the more we walk, the farther we get from reality. For some reason, this thought causes me to stop in my tracks. What's the matter? We've walked for quite a while. Are you tired? No, it's not that. I see. Is something causing you concern? I shake my head again and look out into the darkness of the night. If we keep going down this path, will we arrive at your hideout? Yes, it's still a while away. I see, but it just feels like the forest is too quiet. It's making me uneasy. Such is the way of forest at night, when one is far from civilization. It provides a sense of alienation, making a traveler feel like a trespasser. We were in the crowded city of London until recently, so I'm sure this feeling is even stronger in you. I nod in response to his words. There is a white butterfly flying along in the moonlight. It flutters for a bit, then disappears into the night, never to be seen again.
It would have been best if I could have prepared a carriage for our journey, but the roads are so rugged.
No, it's all right. I was just in a daze. Perhaps it's because I'm in unfamiliar territory. I feel a growing sense of unease within me as we walk. Saint Germain continues to walk along, saying nothing unless I speak to him first. I look at him from the side, and he has the same peaceful smile that he always wears. But something makes me wonder. Seeing him in the moonlight in this way, he seems sad to me.
I'm glad that the weather tonight has been so agreeable.
Huh?
The scenery looks all the more splendid on nights when the moon shines so gorgeously. It's very pleasant to be able to walk alongside you like this. I only wish we could be walking together under different circumstances.
Different circumstances?
I mean, at a more peaceful time. As long as twilight is after us, we can't afford to really take our time.
Saint Germain's words stay with me. All he's saying is that he wants to walk through this place with me, but his words feel precious to me. Any time, if you don't mind, I would like to walk with you too.
Yes, of course.
Saint Germain says nothing more. Once again, there's nothing to hear but the sounds of our footsteps and the background noise of the chirping insects. I don't feel any awkwardness or discomfort in this silence. It's a peaceful, calm reverie that makes me feel like I could keep walking like this forever. However, a thought crosses my mind. I don't know anything about this man. He crossed some dangerous bridges for me when I'm essentially a complete stranger to him. He even allowed me to live in his mansion when he didn't know who I was at all. And now, he's come this far with me. I wonder why. What is his motivation? The more I think about it, the more confused I become. I steal a glance at him. I see only his peaceful, composed smile, the same as always. But at the same time, it seems to be a veil hiding something. It's as if he's avoiding becoming more involved with people than he has to. Saint Germain, I want to know more about this man, and hesitantly raise my voice. Here we're supposed to say, "What do you think of me?" But I think I'm gonna do what I always do and see what he says when we ask him, "Have you always lived in London?" And then we'll come back once I think he's finished answering that. Have you always lived in London?
Oh, why do you ask?
I've heard a lot about what you've been doing since you met Lupin, but I don't know anything about your life prior to that. That's why I just wanted to know more about you. It's a little embarrassing to tell him my honest thoughts, and I can't bring myself to look him in the eyes as I say it. Not catching on my inner turmoil, Saint Germain seems to be thinking seriously about how to respond.
Where I lived before? That's a bit tough to answer. Before I settled in London, I traveled all around the world. Before London, it was France. Aside from that, I've been in Italy, Prussia, Austria, and even parts of Asia.
I'm in awe. So many different places.
Is it surprising? I've had a lot of time on my hands, and I love to travel. I went all over as much as time allowed.
I've always wondered.
What is it?
What do you do? What kind of job do you have? Saint Germain looks at me in surprise, then laughs.
You really have me there.
Sorry, what?
I don't work. I'm simply burning through my inheritance to pay for my living expenses.
Do you really expect us to believe that, after what you said after Finis? I see. Then why were you traveling so far?
Let's see. If I were to say that I was contributing to world peace, would you believe me?
Saint Germain is speaking almost as if he is talking about someone else's life, and I look up at him.
What's the matter, Miss Cardia?
It's just, the more I hear about you, the less I understand you.
Ah, I know how that feels. I've had difficulty myself sometimes, understanding exactly what I am.
Saint Germain responds with a smile. And I assume here, since we had a scene transition, is probably where we can go and pick the other option. So let's see what he has to say when we ask him what he thinks of us. What do you think of me?
You?
It seems that this was an unexpected question, for the Count cocks his head to one side. I think about how best to explain my question, and choose my words carefully. Right now, I don't really understand myself. Ever since I saw those bodies that could have become me at my father's underground facility. Am I a monster after all? I recall the events of that night and look down, my voice trembling. That's why I wanted to ask you. I want to hear it from you. What did you think when you saw them? What did you think about me that day?
Well...
My shoulders tremble with more than just the cold. But Saint Germain gently places a hand on my shoulders and smiles.
I was a bit surprised, but I wasn't frightened at all.
Really? You didn't think that it was disgusting or creepy?
Don't be absurd. I saw your actions with my own eyes, and I heard your words with my own ears, and that's everything. As far as I am aware, you are the kindest, most charming lady I know.
Hearing the confidence in his words makes the unease and fear I've been feeling melt away. Even if the Count is lying to me, and his honest thoughts lie elsewhere. For now, I want to enjoy his thoughtful lies. As we walk through the moonlit forest that seems just out of touch with reality, I listen to what the Count says. The travels he tells me about are also mysterious and strange. He speaks of a desert nation and hidden treasures. A nation to the north, locked in year-long winter. A nation filled with gold. Even though the scenery around us doesn't change, I don't grow tired of it at all. I notice that the ground at my feet looks brighter. I look up and see an opening in the tree's canopy through which I can see the stars. I'm taken by its beauty, and I stop walking, the better to stare up at the night sky.
Hmm? Do you see something?
The sky above the forest is so bright and beautiful.
And that's because we've come so far from the lights of the city. It makes the stars seem that much brighter. The sky itself never changes.
Saint Germain stops as well and looks up with me, narrowing his eyes at the brightness.
No matter how civilization advances, and even if we figure out how to touch the sky itself will likely never change. Not ever.
I wonder what the Count is thinking. He has his usual smile, and he says this quietly, without looking in my direction.
Miss Cardia, would you mind if I vented about something?
Not at all, but why all of a sudden?
It's just a whim. Long ago, I made a terrible mistake. I chose the wrong path.
The wrong path? Someone as smart as you?
I'm far more foolish than you think. That's the reason I've been regretting the decision I made to this day. I swore to never commit that crime again, all the while knowing that I am already committing a different crime.
A crime? Saint Germain nods, with a quiet light in the depths of his eyes. What happened in the man's past? I tried to ask him, but he cuts me off with his usual beatific smile.
Come to think of it, this is probably not the proper time to be bellyaching.
Well, all right, but if you do want to talk about it, I won't mind. Oh, come on, you gotta tell us more. You can't just start and stop like that.
Let's continue some other time. I'm sorry to cut the conversation short when I was the one who brought it up to begin with. Let's hurry.
You should be sorry. I wanted to hear more. He says that with a smile, then starts walking again. A mistake. The wrong path. A crime he regrets. I wonder what exactly he means. Almost an entire day later, we are still walking through the forest, simply moving forward, without sharing a word between us. I'm about to ask Saint Germain how much farther we have to walk when I see a building beyond the trees. We're finally here. My mood brightens as I continue walking behind him. My feeling of relief gradually changes into one of shock as we get closer. Soon, I stand astonished in front of the building now right in front of us. Is this your mansion? The building before us is a familiar-looking mansion.
Are you surprised?
I can't even find the words to respond, and all I can do is nod. Why? Did we circle back around somehow?
No, this place was built to the exact same specifications as the mansion we were living in. Just as Lupin has many hideouts throughout London, I have several mansions of my own as well.
So the interior is the same too?
Yes, there's not much of a difference. In the past, I would use both mansions, depending on the mood I was in that day.
I see, that's why. My mind understands, but it still feels sort of strange to be seeing a building so similar to the other mansion. If he switched mansions based on how he was feeling, why would he need to make them identical?
You seem unconvinced.
It's just, why would you build them both exactly the same?
Because I like it, I suppose. I may not look the type, but I have difficulty sleeping if so much as my pillow changes. And if I make them the same way in every regard, I wouldn't need to change my lifestyle at all. I did like to switch between the two, as a change of pace, but I'm not too fond of changing my routine too much.
It sounds complicated.
I'm quite moody.
He says this in a satisfied manner and smiles a little wider.
Either way, this is the perfect place to take cover from foreign enemies. You would need to know this forest well in order to find this place. There is plenty of food stocked here, so it would make for a great hideout.
I see. I look up at the mansion again. From the outside, it doesn't seem any different from the mansion we have been staying in. Who's keeping the grounds? It looks like there's grass and shrubbery, but it's not overgrown. Everything from the shape of the building, the color of the walls, and even the metalwork on the gate is exactly the same. But Lupin and the others aren't here. No one will greet us when we come inside the doors. Far from the comfort of my friends, we're going to live in this place that no one knows of, quietly hiding from the world. Isn't that the same as when I was waiting for my father, alone in my old home? I look at the open gates that stand in silence.
Miss Cardia.
Aww.
If you have any reservations about this, would you like to return to the old mansion?
Saint Germain. Saint Germain stares at me. As the sun sets in the west, he turns to me and asks me to make a decision. It feels the same as when we first met, but there is a loneliness apparent in his expression.
If you decide to live here, there will be no turning back. Your decision to distance yourself from everyone and hide so as not to involve them in danger is not a poor one. However, it would not be a mistake to trust them should you choose to fight alongside them. The entire way here, ever since I met you really, I have been thinking, what is right and what is wrong? I have been unable to come to a clear distinction between them as of yet.
What do you mean? He always has a smile and never loses his cool, no matter what the situation is. That's who I thought Saint Germain was. But as he says this, he doesn't have his usual composure. He seems to be torn about something.
That's why, though it may seem irresponsible of me, I would like you to decide whether to stay here or go back. Neither choice is wrong, so it's all up to how you feel. Please make a decision that you won't regret.
I don't know why, but I feel like this decision will have a significant impact on my future. Okay, if we choose to go back to the old mansion, the game ends. So I'm going to see what that ending is like, and then we'll come back and choose the other one. I want to go back to the others. This place, it's sort of scary. Oh, don't say that, it's kind of mean. Could it be because walking through the forest made it feel like we were lost in a mysterious world? Or is it because Saint Germain looks like he wants us to go back for some reason? So that's why I answer the way I do. I'm sorry.
There's no need for apologies. I'm sure it's the right decision.
I bow my head in apology, and Saint Germain responds with another of his usual smiles.
Now that that's settled, let's hurry back. It may be difficult to go back down the path we came.
It'll be fine. Even Lupin and Van Helsing were surprised by my endurance. This is a piece of cake. It's very difficult to read Saint Germain's expression, but he seems a little relieved to me. And so we continue to travel, taking the same amount of time it took us to get here. It is late in the evening by the time we arrive at a familiar road. Then, Saint Germain suddenly stops walking, and I stop as well. What's the matter, Saint Germain?
This is as far as I go, Miss Cardia.
What?
There is something I have to do at the other mansion. Can you continue the rest of the way on your own?
Saint Germain looks at me with concern.
I trust you know the way. I hope you don't get lost.
That won't be a problem. The street looks familiar, so I'll be fine.
I'm glad. Well then, as it's quite late, it would probably be best if you hurried back. And I hope that the path you've chosen is filled with peaceful light. You have my sincerest prayers.
Saint Germain says this with a smile. When will you come back to us?
Let's see. Tomorrow morning at the latest. Be careful now, my sweet lady.
He takes my hand and kisses it over my glove. Then he turns and leaves. The next day, Saint Germain doesn't appear at the mansion, even after nightfall. Nor does he appear the next day, nor the day after that. I never saw Saint Germain again after the night we parted ways. I continued searching for clues about Father, along with Lupin and the others, but sometimes I find myself thinking, what if I had stayed behind and gone to the other mansion with Saint Germain? Would Saint Germain not have disappeared then? Would we still be together? And although I want to find out, I would never know the answers. So that's one of our extra little game endings, and we'll go back and choose the correct choice. I will stay here. Just the two of us all alone in this big mansion. No, I'd like to stay here. I left the mansion to come to this place, and even if Lupin and the others aren't here, you are. I don't know what you're so undecided about, but what you say has always been true. That's why I'm going to trust you.
I see.
He seems unable to articulate a reply too clearly. This is such a departure from his usual demeanor. But before I could ask him the reason why, he looks over at me again.
Well then, shall we enter, before I change my mind?
He says this sternly, as if he's speaking more to himself than to me. The Count begins walking slowly towards the front doors of the mansion. The mansion's interior is exactly like that of the mansion we left a few days ago. It's not just the walls and doors. Everything, from the curtains to the lampshades, is exactly the same.
That's really cool, but kind of freaky too.
The only difference is that I can't sense anyone else here. And of course, the personal belongings that Lupin, Van Helsing, Victor, Impey, Cece, and Deli own are nowhere to be seen. The absence of their things really stands out because everything else is exactly the same. And this difference feels very significant to me. When it's time to eat,
It's like everything's the same except reversed, like the image is flipped, I think.
When it's time to eat, the meal on the table is far more luxurious than
What do you mean?
is far more luxurious than what we had expected.
What does she mean, we?
Saint Germain put together a quick meal using the food in storage.
It's not going to be as sumptuous as what Impey makes.
I shake my head as Saint Germain carries the food over and sits down. The warm soup has a complex flavor, and the bread tastes so good, it's hard to believe that it had been preserved. But
What's the matter? You seem sad. Is the taste not to your liking?
I hastily shake my head in response. No, I was just thinking that it feels a bit lonely in here, that's all. We always used to share our meals together.
You're right. We are missing the lively atmosphere that we used to enjoy.
I think of something and make a suggestion to Saint Germain. How about if we were to tell Lupin and the others about this place?
Oh, I thought that you didn't want them to be involved anymore.
Yes, but I feel a little guilty about leaving them without saying anything. Lupin and the others might search all over for me if they think I've been kidnapped. I think it would be a good thing to tell them that Twilight is still moving forward their terrorist plot.
Kidnapped. That may not be too far off from your current situation.
Huh? Saint Germain sighs lightly, then stares at me.
Oh my god, his eyes are open. Unfortunately, you won't have the opportunity to tell them. There's no way they would catch on to this location either.
Saint Germain continues speaking casually, as if simply stating things that should be evident to anyone. The lights in the room create shadows across his face. Because of this, Saint Germain seems a little different from usual, almost like a stranger. What do you mean?
I built this mansion so that it would never be found. That's what makes it a hideout. Lupin and the others are all highly competent experts in their fields, but that's by the standards of ordinary humans. They will never be able to get you back.
Saint Germain, what are you talking about?
Everything is already in motion.
The Count speaks in a composed voice, carefully constructing his sentences to lay out the facts to me.
There is no turning back now.
For some reason, I sense something terribly cold in his gaze.
It seems that Impey and Victor were able to construct a machine that could track the poison let off by the horologium. I have already destroyed the device. There is no way for them to trace you to this place.
He doesn't answer my question and continues speaking in a level tone of voice. The silence between us is punctuated by the strong wind outside shaking the windows.
There is one thing that I must apologize to you for.
Saint Germain goes on in his usual tone. His composure makes this all the more unsettling.
When you were trying to leave the mansion alone, I told you that Twilight was still after you.
Yes, that's why we're here now.
And that was a lie.
What?
Finis was the leader of Twilight. I killed him in the underground lab, giving him a temporary death. After that, I gave him a permanent death in secret.
What?
Twilight has no reason to come after you anymore.
How did he really kill? I want to know. What is the secret to Finis's eternal life? How did you kill him? Temporary death, permanent death. I can't comprehend the meaning in his words. Really? Then why? Why did you do this? There was no reason for us to leave the others behind. In response to my question, he smiles his usual peaceful smile.
Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to speak to you about that.
Not allowed? By who? Saint Germain simply falls silent.
Finis's ambitions have been stopped. Twilight will likely be placed under Queen Victoria's command now. However, none of that carries much significance. The only thing that has meaning to me now is...
The Count's smile grows more kindly than ever.
You, Miss Cardia.
He seems to see right through me. I feel chills run down my spine, and I try to stand up when... I feel intensely dizzy, unable to deal with this sudden turn of events, and with my body suddenly weak. I topple forward, crashing onto the table. Saint Germain, did the food contain some kind of drug? I tried to finish my question, but my mouth won't form the words.
Oh dear, you seem to be exhausted. Understandably so. We've walked for quite a long time.
Saint Germain rises from his seat and slowly approaches me.
I'll carry you to your room so you can get some rest.
He speaks to me fondly, as though nothing out of the ordinary is happening. This is definitely unusual. But I can't escape. I'm unable to even move my mouth, and now I'm slowly losing strength to keep my eyes open. My eyelids grow unbearably heavy and slowly close despite all my intentions. Then, unable to resist at all, I'm scooped up by Saint Germain's arms. My body sways. My consciousness is fading, but within that haze, I understand that I'm being carried somewhere. My mind simply cannot keep up with the events that are happening to me.
Ring-a-ring-a-roses. Do you know this nursery rhyme?
Saint Germain's voice is kind, like a lullaby, and I wonder if he realizes that I'm still partly conscious. But I have no way of knowing whether or not he is aware of that.
Ring around the rosy, pocket full of posies. Achoo, achoo, we all fall down. It's a very cheerful sounding song, but there's a theory that it's also a very cruel song. The roses symbolize the symptoms of the Black Plague, and posies in pockets were carried as herbs used for protection. Sneezing was an early symptom of the plague, and everyone falls and dies in the end. That is what that explanation claims the song is truly about. It's not just this song. Cruel truths often hide within things that seem joyful and fun on the surface. The same could be said of you as well. The joyful fun days of adventure were merely superficial. And just below the surface, a monster named Fate awaits, its black mouth agape, waiting for the moment to swallow you whole. And that moment is now.
What he says carries an undertone of dark and mysterious eeriness, but my body is still numb and immobile. I'm unable to resist at all as he carries me somewhere. If what he says is true, we're headed for the gaping mouth of Fate. He carefully sets me down somewhere, probably on a bed. The numbness in my body is gradually beginning to wear off. I do get the feeling that it's probably better to pretend to be asleep for now, and try not to make any sudden movements. Saint Germain stands beside me for a while, but eventually walks away in silence. Carefully, I open my eyes. I'm in a bedroom that's just like my normal room, except reversed. I focus on my limbs, trying to get my body to move, but they still won't obey me. Why did Saint Germain drug me? What does he plan to do with me? The door opens once again, and the Count comes back into the room. He's holding a sharp dagger in his hand.
Oh, you're up already. You weren't supposed to wake up for another 10 hours. I suppose that the drug would have had a different effect on you than it would on an ordinary person.
What's the dagger for?
Oh, this. The blade has been poisoned. It numbs the area around a wound, enabling it to kill without causing any pain. It could slice a person's head off while they sleep, and they wouldn't feel a thing.
One simple question. What does he plan to do with it? I can think of only one answer.
I can see from your face that I likely don't need to explain what I'm about to use this for.
He continues to speak quietly, as peaceful as always.
This dagger will be used to take your life. It is going to trap you in a peaceful cradle of eternal sleep.
Exactly as I had expected. But I don't feel a great sense of fear, and I simply stare at Saint Germain, watching him. Seeing my reaction, he cocks his head to one side.
Are you not afraid of me? I did just declare my intention to end your life.
I don't believe that the Saint Germain I know would do something like that. Our eyes lock, and after a few seconds of dead silence,
Would you care to test me?
Saint Germain retains his usual demeanor. I don't sense any hostility from him. Well, of course we're going to see both of the results, but we'll do that in the next video. I hope to see you in my future videos, and I'd be so grateful for any likes, comments, subscriptions, or shares with your friends to show some support. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you all health, happiness, and safety. Dirili signing out. Bye-bye, everybody.